Welcome to another episode of Adventures in Truth. We had a challenging conversation, which is rare for us yesterday, and we're going to show you how we handle it. And by the way, so much of this is her idea. And when I say her, I mean Heather, but I'm complimenting her, not accusing her because I'm pointing a finger. She takes this method seriously. She takes the message that we're bringing to the world very seriously. So she said to me, how about we record an episode and show people how we do things? So that's what we're doing this morning. Your floor's yours.
So we're not getting the whole picture because we did talk just a little bit last night. So we kind of have an idea of what's going on for one another, but this is going to be able, I mean, this is going to offer us a chance to like really dive deep and dig into the stuff we didn't get into last night. So I would like to do rock, paper, scissors to decide who goes first, and it's best 2 out of 3, right?
Best 2 out of 3.
Okay.
I'm going to win.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Diamond, scissors, cuts, rock? No? Okay.
But that's 2.
Yeah, you win. Oh, no, I'm still alive.
Paper, scissors, shoot.
Yeah, 1-1.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh!
And you'll notice there's a page in the book. I don't know where you put the book.
It's down there.
There's a page in the book about the neuroscience of rock, paper, scissors. And the idea of predicting your partner's next move is very healthy for the nervous system. You'll look up the page. I think it's in chapter 1. I'm almost sure it's in chapter 1. Okay, go ahead. Or level 1. Level 1.
Level 1. Okay, so I didn't expect to go first, but okay, we'll go there. I'm really grateful for the disagreement that we had last night, for the moment of tension, for the whatever happened that brought up the tension between us, because I have lived my life in misinformation, basically, up until meeting you. And you've really freed me from just kind of being in this confused state, and now I'm actually attempting to vocalize myself and feel a little more confident in like fact checking and making sure what I'm saying is accurate, as also like just following my intuition at the same time.
Let me just say, if you are a survivor of gaslighting, if you've been a victim of gaslighting, if you've been a victim of somebody invalidating your intuition when you're correct, all of those things would be similar to what Heather's describing.
Yeah. Your interruption was difficult just now and useful. So I both got a little irritated and appreciated it. What it brought up for me was a memory of when I started to recognize when I felt confused. The feeling of actually being confused, like sitting in my confusion. And so like, I don't want to create a space through my expression that like generates confusion for people. That's not what I want. Because I remember feeling really insecure about feeling confusion. It was like, I'm supposed to know things. I'm supposed to know, because I was told, you know better. You know better than this. But I don't know that I really did know better. You know, like I was a kid, so I brought that confusion, that whole feeling around confusion into adulthood with me. And with you, I had to start expressing things that I never expressed before. And I love the process. It's really empowered me. Truth empowered. Excuse me. But I felt angry every single time that I would have to express my confusion, because like I had to feel it, I had to acknowledge it, and then I had to say it and risk all the backlash I might have gotten, I used to get as a kid type of thing for being myself, even though I knew I was safe with you to do so. Um, so I have space where I want to understand what feeling confused is like for you. So that's a question I'm going to ask you towards the end of my unwinding. Um, I had something else and I didn't write it down. Just popped up into my head and I can't remember. I can't recall exactly. So just let's hold some space for silence for a second so I can try to uh oh. Oh, it was right there. I almost had it. Come
You'll
back.
get it. You'll
Come
get
back to
it.
me. Come back. Oh. Okay, so when I do speak and I say it in a way that creates confusion, and then that confusion isn't expressed, it's kind of like my fault. It's hard for me, like I was telling you last night. It's like a risk for me to even participate in the conversation. So when it feels as though blame is coming at me, like I should know better, I should know how to communicate it accurately and precisely so that everyone can understand it, I get real insecure about using my voice. So last night I was hurt, and when I feel that way, I get angry because, oh, this is another thing. It wound me right into it. Because I get angry because I'm built specifically. If anyone knows about human design, they'll understand this, but I'm going to just talk about it. So in human design, I'm designed to make mistakes and learn from them. I learn through life experiences, and those are my lessons. And I just get so angry about being wrong all this, like often. It's kind of like a scientist who's experimenting, and none of the experiments are panning out, and they just don't like the results, and they just get angry about it sometimes. So I have that inside of me whenever my experiments, me using my voice, me taking the risk of using my voice, doesn't go well. The person on the other end doesn't understand me fully. So I get angry because I want to just do it right. I want to just get it right. I want to be understood. So I have to, that's like a lifelong thing for me to deal with and process. And hopefully one day I won't feel angry about it. And I'll just go, okay, that one didn't work, blah, blah, blah. But I think what would help is within our relationship, like I asked you last night, if you could say, I'm feeling confused versus the way that we're currently communicating in this specific moment. Um, I think that would help me a lot because then I would go into my little science lab and I'd go, oh, okay, so I could go, what did I say that you feel confused about? What do you not understand? Like, what do you not understand? Seriously, that question was asked to me like in a mean way growing up. What do you not understand? Like, I feel stupid with that question, but I don't mean it that way. You know what I'm
Yeah, you're saying it. You don't mean it in a "it's not rocket science" way.
Right. Um, let me just make sure if anything else comes up, I'll write it down. Um, I just I want to express gratitude because I love living this life of truth. I love it. And this current topic, uh, I feel like my experience with education did not set me up for success in, I slept through civics and my teacher gave me an A anyways. So I I I am susceptible to like conspiracy theories, but I want to know truth. So I love having you as a partner who stands. you are the truth, you stand for the truth, So when we first got together, I said, don't let me get too comfortable, challenge me so that I can keep growing. And you've continuously done that. And I am so grateful because I want to expand. I want to evolve. So I just want to let you know that I'm coming into these situations with all my feelings and everything and a desire to continuously grow and find the truth in all of it. So my question that I wrote down is, and I'm really actually, it's a curious question, is what is it like for you to feel confused?
Hmm. Well, before I answer, and I'm going to answer this question, I wrote, if you saw the camera shake, it's because I'm writing notes. Let me show you the pad. There's the pad. So just to set up your listening, first of all, what you saw was unwinding. Pretty sure that's also in level 1 as well. When you let someone unwind, they will find what it is they want to say. Um, Also, I want to set up your listening, which is simply this, and you tell me if you want to adjust this. What we're talking about, setting up your listening,
Yeah.
you'll find in level 3, I believe, it's truth empowered speaking. It's called the over. So it's an overview of what you'll be talking about, setting a context, setting up someone's listening. We had a conversation yesterday with our son, and Heather's part of it included some words that I questioned in terms of their accuracy. And I did not do it in an emotionally responsible way because there were lots of times I have not said something in the past. And I have built maybe not resentment, but some suspicion for the way she communicates in this particular area. So, would you agree with that?
Yeah. Um,
So that's what we're talking about is she wants me to express it in a more emotionally responsible way. And I didn't because I had built up frustration from the past. And that's on me. I needed to express it more. And I have all these voices sometimes that stop me, which are like, well, I want her to learn to express herself. I don't want to squash her, these things. And those things need to be said too, because if they're not, I'll squash my voice. I'll build up resentment, or in this case, frustration. And then it comes out in an emotionally irresponsible way, which is not what we want. So, before I answer your question, when you said that you were, I can't remember what you said, frustrated or irritated at the beginning of your share, I got scared. I got scared because I used to get yelled at as a kid. So there's still remnants of it in my nervous system. Have I moved past a lot of it? Sure. But there's still this. It's the contraction feeling. That's tension if you're still in level 1.
may I interrupt you for just a second?
Yeah, okay.
Everything you're saying to set them up feels like you're unwinding, and I'm trying to take it in. Uh, but it's going towards the camera, and so I can't tell if you're talking to me, if this is your unwinding.
No, I'm
Okay.
talking to them so they understand what they're listening to.
Okay.
And the last thing is that if you'll notice, she got to gratitude. And the thing is, when you let somebody express themselves and you don't put the brakes and you don't interrupt and you don't defend yourself, and they unwind into what is really true for them, they get to some appreciation, gratitude. So that's a really important lesson for us all to learn. Now I'm going to immerse myself in this conversation now that you know what we're talking about.
Okay.
Any comments you want to make about that so far?
I wish I hadn't interrupted you
Because,
because had I let you finish, I would have understood.
okay, so there's another example where unwinding would have worked. Sometimes your questions get answered. If they don't, and it'll say in the book, ask, they're called CQs. They're either clarifying questions or curious questions. You ask the clarifying questions first. So now I'm going to turn back to Heather. So you asked me, what does it feel like to feel confused?
What is it like for you to feel confused?
The mental answer that popped up is it's horrible. It's horrible because I got my version of what you described, which is, what kind of stupid question is that? Why would you ask such a question? They were said with scary tones in my reality, angry tones. And so there's a part of me, notice I answered mentally, it's horrible. There's a part of me that does not want to feel confused. That's not healthy. But I will tell you, and it's in the book, my earlier issues with Heather stemmed from the fact that in my reality, and I'm talking to you now, you used to say things with certainty when you actually were not certain. And I value the truth, so when I don't know is the truth, that's the truth. When maybe is the truth, that's the truth. When probably is the truth, that's the truth. When possibly is the truth, that's the truth. When never and always are the truth, that's the truth. But they're all slightly different. So now back to your question. Yeah, I can go back?
Yeah, those were all really difficult lessons for me to learn and integrate, and I found my way to valuing them deeply.
So I'm scared to feel confused.
Mm.
I'm determined not to feel confused. And I also know I must feel confused because you cannot block one color of the rainbow. You cannot block one color of the rainbow, say that 5 times fast, without blocking all the colors in reality. And you dim everything. When you dim one emotion, you dim them all. You cannot pick and choose your emotions. And believe me, I've tried and failed.
Same.
So, okay. She said same. I talked over her. I feel scared to feel confused. And when I feel confused, it's like my brain kind of sizzles. It's two contradictory things, my instinct and your comment, let's say, or whoever's comment. Zzz, it goes. Zzz. So when I said sometimes I get nervous of getting yelled at, and inside I'm going like this, it's just my brain going. I don't know if you can see me squinting.
Oh, we can. Yeah. Yeah.
There's an old musical called The King and I, and there's a song called It's a Puzzlement. I'm the puzzlement is mental. The confusion means I have to ask about it, and that's scary. And I also have to ask, even if it's scary. I feel stupid. I don't like feeling stupid. The real reality of the situation is I am in Mensa. And you wouldn't think that somebody who's in Mensa would ever feel stupid. And yet, the way I experienced being talked to as a child, I was frequently, sorry, I don't know what happened because my phone's off, but the way I experienced being talked to as a child, I frequently was experiencing feeling stupid.
I can relate to that. Mm-hmm.
So, what's it like for you to feel confused?
Well, it's like this fog cloud rolls in, and I get angry it's there and I get hurt it's there because like I have trust, I've chosen to put trust in this person or this source or whatever. And it's like the hurt is cuz am I being lied to right now? And I get angry that I have that feeling of suspicion, and so to come out of the fog of confusion with the tools of like I don't know, or that doesn't make sense to me, or even I'm feeling confused, has been really really like exercising a muscle, um which actually like clears the fog. It's like I'm going, okay, that was confusion, now let's clear it up. And it's now because I've been speaking to it, I don't have as much anger, I don't have as much hurt, I don't have as much of that am I being lied to right now. I have, it's like Now it's like a tool. All my emotions have become tools for me to navigate my environment, to navigate my relationships and everything. So if I'm feeling confused, it means something isn't understood. And it could be me. Of course I have the suspicion, but I'm always walking around now going, is this a projection of mine? Is this mine? And normally it is, even if it's confusion, even if the other person is lying to me, the confusion is mine to handle. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it's like for me to be confused right now, to feel confused. And it turns me, I've like started creating new neuronal pathways with it, with having my emotions be my tools, because now it's like I don't get stuck in my emotions. They don't overwhelm me, they don't hijack me. I go, okay, what is this tool? I actually have to hold it and go, how do I use this tool? What is it trying to tell me? Like I'm like figuring out a puzzle. So what is confusion telling me? I don't understand something. And then I have to feel the feelings about not understanding something because I was told, like growing up all the time, you don't understand. Silly little girl, stuff like that. And so I have to feel the feelings of not understanding and then admit that I don't understand what's going on, which is really vulnerable for me.
Hmm. I did not know that before right now.
It's really vulnerable for me to say I don't understand. But I've learned that it is so powerful. Vulnerability creates intimacy. And so every time that I am vulnerable with you, with, Wesley, with myself, there's growth in it. There's evolution in it. So like everything is a freaking tool. Everything is a little like gizmo gadget to use in my lab up here now. I'm like everything is for growth. So
What I'm called to do is compliment you to them. Because when I met you, even though I knew the truth about emotional awareness and acceptance, and I was less brave. And I've watched you be emotionally responsible. There have been early times that there was some stuff, but generally speaking, once you adopted our method, emotionally responsible and really, really brave. Even in those old times, before you were completely emotionally responsible, and you would sometimes flare up, let's call it like that, get really elevated really fast,
elevated, get hijacked, yeah.
hijacked.
Mm-hmm.
You were still really brave, but I can vouch for the fact that you inspire me with your emotional bravery.
Well, you inspire me with your truth, like the way that you were like clear on just being honest about everything. Like it was a perfect combination.
I remember an early time when she was coming to see me, and I had this little GPS thing that could follow her when she was driving. And I was in a hotel room visiting the area, planning on living there. So we were exploring things. And I started pacing in my hotel room. And my thought was, well, don't tell her that. You're going to look like a goober, whatever version. And I said, okay, that's exactly what you're going to tell her. Because however you look is however you look. But this is going to be an honest relationship. That's the moment and I immediately texted her, I'm pacing around because I'm so anxious for you to get here. And I want you to get here safely. So that was for me the real beginning of I'm going to keep this honest in every second.
You complimented me for being emotionally brave. I've never seen someone be so brave in telling the truth. And that's why, like, I tell you, you're brave too. because I grew up around cowards, people who lie to themselves, and I learned how to do that, and you just broke through and you were like, I'm just honest, truth. And I was like, yes, give me that. I love you. I just wanted to tell you I love
I
you.
love you too. Well, I didn't expect this to end like that.
I did, honestly. Let me say, recently, he just told me something that blew my mind, because even with all this honesty and emotional intelligence and responsibility in the book and everything we're working on right now and offering, I still found our disagreements to be an emergency inside of me. I still freaked out. I was like, this is it. Every time it went to top priority, we got to figure this out right now. But you told me something recently that changed all of it. And you said, I may not quote it correctly, but you said, I don't find our disagreements to be urgent. Is that, do you remember that?
Go on.
So you were saying when we have a disagreement or tension or a moment of miscommunication that causes elevation, and you have other things to get to, you know that we're going to work through whatever we have going on, so it doesn't feel like an emergency inside of you.
But it used to.
Oh, I understand that. Yeah. But we got to a place where we're like, no, it's just gonna, you know? So now, last night, you were expressing yourself and we were having part of this conversation. None of you got the heated, elevated. It didn't get super elevated at all, but they didn't get the heated part of it. But you were saying,
No, but pardon me for interrupting you. Here's how I sounded. I sound sort of like very logical, and maybe some of you, excuse me, maybe some of you are too. I was like, okay, but you can't, da 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 da.
yeah.
And that hyper logical thing, it really doesn't mesh well with an emotional exchange. So I just want to let you know, I told her this morning, I want to take responsibility for my part. And that's what I was thinking in the bed. I didn't sleep well.
Yeah.
We energetically got to okay last night, but we hadn't talked it out till this morning. That's what I was thinking about, was that hyper logical, okay, but you're saying this, and I just, even though I'm not actually elevated or heated as you just called it,
Right.
it sounds like I sound probably superior or something like that.
Sometimes it does come across that way. And I made the face because that is normally something you don't say to your partner, but honestly, it does come across. I know what I'm talking about. And feeling versus fact, we hadn't, it took you a little while to get to the I feel confused part of the whole thing. And when I heard that, I was like, let's get to that, because like I didn't know that you were feeling confused. I thought you just wanted accuracy. I love accuracy, but I'm not always accurate. And I want to be accurate. So I appreciate if you I want to hear I'm feeling confused. I don't quite understand. You know what I mean? So that I can get to the accuracy. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what brought it up for me last night, the whole our disagreements or whatever isn't an emergency, was you were expressing yourself and you said that you were feeling no hope for the conversation. And normally that would send me into, oh, we got to get this figured out right now, because it would just like take over, and my desire to have nothing between us would just like drive. But I heard you say the whole thing about it's not an emergency in my head when you said no hope. And I was like, okay, that's how he's feeling right now. We always work it out. So this isn't emergency. I can just hear that as an expression of what he's feeling in the moment versus, oh my God, I need to fix it.
Right. And again, to set up your listening.
I'm not good at that. I'm still practicing that.
what happened last night was that she gave two pieces of information to our son, who's 11, who is a year ahead in informational learning, very intelligent. But I'm definitely protective. Maybe I'm more protective, overreaching than I ought to be about his reality, making sure the information he gets is accurate. I lost my train of thought, but I'll get it.
Emergency.
Yeah, it was non-emergency. What were we talking about yesterday? Oh, so I'm still talking to you. So she gave two pieces of information, and I didn't know if either of them were accurate. Turns out one was accurate, but maybe I would have labeled it differently if I were her, and I could have expressed that more emotionally responsibly last night. The other freaked the shit out of me. And I was I was hijacked from the conversation because the other was true and it scared the shit out of me. So I was like looking at my phone and trying to figure out sort of what to do. Not just my emotional reaction because I was scared, but like the reaction to my emotional reaction. So when I said I had no hope for that conversation, I was so involved in the other fact that was absolutely accurate that she said, which I doubted. I guess let me just sum it up by saying that I know you're committed to accuracy, that I see you from past patterns, which is how the nervous system works, of saying or being certain when you're not certain, or saying a fact when it's really a conspiracy theory. And I could have a whole separate conversation about conspiracy theories. And I need to own the fact that my nervous system is seeing a pattern that has been changed by you. So I need to see you now versus see you then and say, okay, this is the pattern that I used to notice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. I appreciate that. And I'm going to recommit because it is a daily practice to commit to and recommit to honesty and truth and growth and all of that and expansion. And so I'll work on letting you know, like I've already started it, but I'll continue to let you know if it's something I haven't checked to make sure if it's factual or anything like that when it comes to external stuff. Yeah.
And when it comes to our son, I want to let go. And if the information you're telling him isn't 100% accurate, then it's not.
And we can have a conversation about it as well.
Yeah.
Whether it's, if we learn that it's incorrect.
But then that's going to send me into exactly what happened, which is I start checking on my phone like, are you sure? And I don't like that whole dynamic. I feel like if you didn't check it out, and so you are wittingly or unwittingly, however you say it, giving him inaccurate information, I don't want to have to save him from that. I want you to just give the information. If it's inaccurate, it's inaccurate.
Well, I don't want to give him inaccurate information. I wouldn't have started last night's conversation with the topic that I started with had I not checked it out. I think what happened was the wording is where the confusion started.
That's true.
And I appreciate that because I didn't understand the difference between what I said and what I meant. Does that make...
It does. I want to respond not just to you, but this is very important to me in terms of family relationships, which is like our son is in 6th grade right now as we record this. It's important to talk to someone at a 6th grade level, or let's say you want to be aspirational, a 7th grade level, age appropriate. And my reaction yesterday, I want to say this too. If you use any kind of AI and you put in the prompt, respond in a sixth grade vocabulary level. It will. I believe as humans, that is a valuable ability, the ability to shift your vocabulary so that you can speak to the people that you need to speak to. I will tell you, in my advertising career, it came in very, very handy, because I know if you're speaking to a luxury brand, you might be speaking to a different demographic vocabulary wise than if you're doing pizza. I introduce hot and ready pizza. They're not necessarily the same demographic. And so you speak with a different vocabulary. If you're talking to an 11-year-old, you're going to speak differently than if you're talking to a 5-year-old, or if you're talking to a 10-year-old. Or, well, they're fairly close, but it's important to be able to speak to someone on the level at which they are. We all have that capability because we've all been through those various ages. So we have that AI capability to, it's not dumbing down, though it may sound like it. It's speaking to someone on the level they're at so that they can understand you. Because the most important thing is understanding. If I understand her and she understands me, we will be connected. So if my son's 11, I have to make sure he understands me and I understand him. And that means communicating in a vocabulary different way. I'm complete. Any response to that?
I'm not always great with that. I went into autopilot and dissociated and all that stuff. So you have like memories of all those ages and how to communicate and stuff. I just know that there should be more communication with children than what I received. And so any attempts I make are me just trying to not what is that? What am I thinking about? Keep my son in a bubble type of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was kept in a bubble. So I had a second childhood, when I became an adult in my later 20s, and I had to learn a lot. And so I'm just talking to Wesley like talking to a younger friend. And I don't know if that's accurate all the time. I don't know if that's appropriate all the time. So I don't know. I agree with you, and I recognize that it's something that I don't. Everybody has the capability. I made a face because I don't know if I always do. I know that when he was younger, I knew how to talk to young kids, but he's getting into the older, and I don't know what, 11, 12, you know what I mean? I don't know how to filter necessarily. I did know because I knew something I was going to say might be uncomfortable for him to hear. But I also I want to keep him in the loop, as appropriately. And I just felt like last night's conversation was an interesting enough conversation to keep him in the loop with.
Yeah, and in my reality, and I'm telling this to you, but I'm turning to them, you included details that were not necessary for his age level, even though he's a year ahead. Communicating what you needed to communicate, in my reality, could have been done without the level of detail that you put in. And then I'm not making you responsible. I'm just saying I would have had a different reaction. The conversation would have been over. That doesn't mean you were wrong, I promise. Because I'm listening to myself and saying, well, does that sound like she was wrong? No.
Yeah, I'm going into that loop of blah, blah, blah.
No, but I'm saying if we're both committed to it, then maybe there's a way I could, I don't know, gently interrupt you. Could I say pause? I don't know what's going to, my biggest responsibility in the past was not speaking up because I was afraid I was going to get a high level of.
Yeah, I used to come at you hard. Mm-hmm. I used to project onto Wesley bad about, put my experience as a kid onto him, and then put my experience with my dad onto you, and it was just not good. I didn't let you guys have your relationship, and it's really hard when, you know, we didn't split up, you know, we've continued in this relationship. Sometimes it's hard to shift stuff like that, to see your partner as changing and changed, you know, for those old those old patterns to change. Like you use the whole hole in a fence thing.
That's in the pillars level.
Like you put a nail, you hammer a nail into a fence and you can take it out, but the hole's always there.
That's a pillar of non-meanness.
You have that to a degree and you use that, but I don't have that with you that much. You know, like I experience the wood growing back over type of thing. So, but
well, I also don't think we're, you know, you mentioned a poke yesterday, which I can't remember what it was, but I trust you. But I generally think we do adopt that pillar, very much so, the non-meanness pillar. Yeah. There have been a handful of times that I've put something out at you that was emotionally responsible and came out as what we call in the book a poke. It's not a lot of times. So thank goodness.
And what's really cool is when you start to recognize the pokes, you really start to see when they want to come out of you, and holding back and turning it into, well, what am I actually feeling? What is this poke telling me? And then you can let the poke come out in a emotionally responsible way. It is incredible, because I have no desire to poke you at all, ever.
Same. Even though it might come out.
Yeah. But like the more you practice not letting those pokes come out, the more it reveals to you. And then the more strength you have against letting it come out as a poke. It's good stuff. It's really good stuff. So I think we're just talking now.
This completes what it felt like to be confused. And it was her idea to record today. And I hope you got some value out of this. We're going to keep recording these, build up a podcast, and hopefully we're going to start, well, not hopefully, we will start answering your questions too. So hopefully this will contribute to your understanding of truth-empowered relationships and to your truth-empowered relationship. Thanks for listening. Actually, show them this, just so you can see. Like, we designed it so it won't be boring. And it's more vivid than this. This is an author's proof, but we're trying to make this interesting for you. So we don't want you to feel like if you pick this up, it's going to be anything dry and dull. There's like excitement on every page and lots of games.
I love you. Bye.
Bye. See you next time.